The views and opinions expressed on From the Mouths of Madness are that of the panel and not of the Geeks Under the Influence Network or their sponsors, Amazon.com and tpublic.com. Listeners, beware. Coming straight from the Mouths of Madness, I am one of the hosts, Lowdown. With me, as always, is
F.U. Hunter. What's up, bitches?
What's up, you missing milk carton bitches?
Milk carton bitches? Yeah.
Woo! Dude, that doesn't happen. It literally stopped, I think, in the 90s. I don't know when it actually, I don't know when it stopped. Now it's Amber Alerts, right?
Well, the kids on the milk cartons probably stopped when the internet really got big, where you probably reached more people. I'm just going to throw this out there. Probably through the internet than through a milk carton. Because you're kind of banking like, boy, I hope people buy a lot of milk to help find this kid. You could just send an email to a fuckload of people with their photo instead of going, boy, I hope it's a good big cereal month, you know?
Cell phones. I get Amber Alerts every time there's been an abduction of a child.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, it just comes across my phone. Like, okay, how the fuck do they have my number? They, like, hit the National Registry and just, boom, there you go. Which is awesome.
Because I don't think they don't.
They put it on the interstate signs. The signs across 64 and shit, 95.
That's like flashing. That's like a giant milk carton.
Yeah. So, and also, who's buying half gallons of milk to get a carton? I buy gallons, which is plastic jugs. Who's buying the half gallon cardboard?
That probably also didn't, help that.
They still sell them. But
I don't think there's any kids on there anymore.
Yeah, I don't think there's kids on there anymore. So tonight on the chopping block, we're going to be talking about the 2018 film Summer of '84. Now, it's funny because we actually talked about this last year, doing an episode on this I think right at the beginning or even pre on the chopping block, just kind of trying to just find a way to cover this movie.
Yeah.
But it's funny because F.U. Hunter brought it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I love that movie. I bought it. Like, we had seen it separately because it just seemed interesting, and then kind of came together that we needed to do an episode on this.
I think it was like actually one of the first ones when I renewed my subscription with Shudder that popped up, and they just got it on Shudder. I was like, yeah, I need to check this shit out. I remember you talking about it and watched it last year and fucking loved it, and it definitely hits the theme of summer.
Yeah, showing your cards already. It's where we're at with this film. So listen if you want. Please listen. But no, so I actually came across it because I have a subscription with Vudu. That's where I redeem all my digital copies of my physical copy because, yes, I still buy physical copies. We've always said, like, yes, it's in our collection because we still collect movies. Yeah. I know it's hard to believe, but we're also old. So
we gotta have the hard copy.
Every movie I watched earlier today before recording this was a hard copy, by the way, and I fucking loved every second of it.
Look, I'm seeking out a movie from the directors of Summer of '84 that I have yet to find. That's only available streaming right now for me. That's Turbo Kid. The people that directed Turbo Kid, their next movie was Summer of '84.
I have a hard copy of Turbo Kid, quote unquote hard copy.
Okay.
That I bought at a con.
Yeah.
Along with a hard copy of what was that fucking Kung Fu one? Kung Fu Fury?
Okay. Oh yeah.
The guy looks like Ryu.
Yeah, the Netflix one, yeah.
Yeah. I have a hard copy of that.
Yeah.
So take that for what it is. But yeah, I haven't found like an official release. There was one initially. There was like an actual official legit release of the film.
Oh yeah,
it's just it hasn't been. I don't think it's been reprinted.
It's sold out, and every time I go to look on places,
I just don't think it's been reprinted.
I was gonna say they have different regions. I can get a region coded
just buy a region free fucking Blu-ray player, dude.
Yeah, lazy. So for one fucking movie, by the way,
you realize once you have that, you can get so much shit that you haven't been able to get,
or just go to a con, one or the other, you know. Mm-hmm. But right now it's still streaming.
I have 2 copies of that. No, I did have 2 copies of both, but I think I bought a copy of each for Groot's.
Okay,
sure. But yeah,
but that's what's crazy is the directors of anybody that's listening, that's seen Turbo Kid, these are the same people, and they definitely put their kind of stamp on each of their movies and have this nostalgic feel to it, you know?
I will say that, if you want to says directors, because there are 3 directors who I am not trying to pronounce their names because fuck that. No disrespect to the directors, just no.
Yeah.
I'm not even trying it. But Yeah, that's the only thing of note that I can think of that is directly related to some form of thing connected to this genre would be Turbo Kid, because it's a more of a dystopian horror where like it's just that the horror of humanity kind of thing.
Well, it just has a theme. Like Turbo Kid has a theme that they're like this is what a post-apocalyptic movie made in the 80s would look like, and then their next step is let's just make an 80s movie. So
and that's really where they come in and shines with Summer of '84. I mean, you start off, the main character has a paper route. I work with people that were old enough to be preteen into early teen in the 80s, and they all talk about they had a paper route. Like it all fits in line with growing up in that early 80s time period, like 84. Now, for me personally, the summer of 84 legitimately was when I was born. I was born in August of 84, so this is like literally about the year that I was born. But what sucks is they made no reference to Ghostbusters. It came out that summer. God damn it.
Oh, yeah, well, but they hit on stuff the prior year. They bring up Jedi. They bring up Gremlins.
That is, they do bring up Gremlins, yes. So there are things that get brought up.
I think the one kind of thing that this movie is trying to be careful of is that it does come off as very similar to Stranger Things. And you can't help it. You've got 4 young boys that are like trying to like investigate shit. So, of course, they're like, it's going to get comparisons. Yeah. The soundtrack is very 80s, but synth style.
It's definitely more like generic 80s. Awesome, because I loved the music when it would play, but it's not like Stranger Things 80s, where they like, I don't feel like I don't know if somebody wrote the score specifically for this movie or if they found a track that they were able to use, because the music just sounds more generic like synthwave.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's shit I put on to fucking clean the house, right? Like, I love that shit. It's awesome. So I don't know if that's what they were going for with the soundtrack or not, but it's definitely, like I said, the main character's got one of the 4 kids has a paper route. That's who's narrated by. The other kids kind of fall in line to like a particular trope, like. You got the one bad kid who's angry all the time.
He wears a leather jacket. The obvious nerdy kid with the glasses.
Yeah.
And the weird,
overweight
short shorts. Overweight kid, who looks, and they joke around like, man, like he's like, yeah, you look like you're 30, kid. Like he's driving a car one scene. They're like, yeah, you look like you're 30. They won't worry about it. And I was just thinking, he does look. He's a big motherfucker. Yeah.
He's a big dude. But there's also a lot of other just teenage trope things that I don't think. That you realize there's things that are happening that I don't think kids are really experiencing in the current time period. Like, for instance, I don't think Parker experienced this, because he just grew up in a different era. Like, when they find a magazine with like a nipple shot, it's like fucking the greatest thing ever.
Oh, I was just thinking when they're playing Manhunt, the game at night.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about like the pervy being a young boy thing.
Well, I'm just talking about stuff that you did in the 80s, or that there's no way they could do it now.
Oh, yeah.
And one of those is, here, grab a flashlight and then just go roaming out in the middle of the night and
Neighbors
play this
are cool
game.
With you trampling through the fucking bushes.
You can hide in there.
Matter.
And it was just, I'm like, yeah, that wouldn't happen to me.
No, God, no.
Hey, I'm going to go play this game where I hide in the bushes with a flashlight for a while.
What are you talking about?
A, that sounds sketchy, and B, somebody's going to fucking shoot you, all right, if you're too close to their house, all right?
But I was, so there is that, which, I mean, growing up in the 80s, your nightlight was the street light, and if you came home at the street light to eat dinner, and it was like a Friday night or Saturday night, you're like, hey, well, we wanted to go do this. We'll be right over there. Like, generally, we're allowed to do that.
Yeah, like, all right, cool.
It's fine. And we turned out okay. But no, the big thing was like, just like, nudity and sex and all, and how their intro to that versus like now with cell phones, like, unless you have like a legit hardcore block on the cell phone, these kids are watching like tentacle porn.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's disturbing. Okay. So there's that. It's hard to say this honestly, but there seems like there's apparently more innocence in the 80s, which is odd because it's the 80s, right?
Right.
I never thought I'd have those two in a sentence. So the main thing about the story is kids are missing, and I forget why the main character ends up thinking about his neighbor.
Well, he picks up because he notices, like, he's just going about his day, and then his neighbor, this officer, like, that lives near him. It's like, hey, I got to pay you for the paper route. It's like, hey, could you help me move something?
Oh, he knows the locked door in the basement. That's
yeah,
what it was.
and he notices, bringing down this heavy-ass cabinet to this basement, and there's a couple just kind of weird things, and there's, like, this wall full of just photos, and he's like, yeah, that's my family. He's like, I don't live near any of them, and it's just like this obnoxious, like a fuck ton of photos on this one wall.
And that's before they go in the basement.
Yeah.
That's like right outside of the basement.
And that just kind of threw our main character like.
Well, then he gets downstairs with that, and he sees the locked door.
Yeah.
But the next thing is he sees one of the kids from the neighborhood in his house, and then when he gets disrupted from something, when he looks back, the kid's gone, and then that kid shows up on a milk carton.
Yep.
And so the main premise of this movie, really, like the bulk of it, is you get a lot of feel of the main character, and I would say all of the four except for the extremely nerdy one.
Yeah.
You don't really know shit about him, but the badass with the leather jacket.
His
family's fucked.
Yeah, his parents are fighting. His brother's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And of course, his brother, like his older brother, drives a Trans Am, and like every time you see him throughout the movie, he just looks like the kids and just flicks them off, just like fuck you. Like he gets this Trans Am. So
it's
his
like
parents are assholes.
Imagine another character similar to Kiefer Sutherland is like Stand By Me.
Exactly.
It's like Ace Merrill, but of
an
this
80s
world,
version
right?
with the Trans Am. Yeah,
exactly.
Like, go fuck yourself.
So
I was gonna say though, this is probably this is more of a thriller than a horror movie. So I feel like this is kind of our first.
It's like labeled as like a horror / so horror came first / thriller, which I thought was weird.
I would think it leans much more to the thriller. As a horror movie, like there's
the gore aspect that you get little of, but when it happens, it's pretty fucking gory. I don't know. Maybe the concept. Maybe it's labeled as horror because the idea of someone taking kids, not like just killing them right away, but like keeping them, and starving them, and
if it wasn't for how well things like how the plot goes and how the characters, I mean, I feel like if we're just basing off of quote quote kills, it wouldn't rank that high for us.
No, it wouldn't.
So it does a good job of being that part of the thriller where it's the build up and like just kind of like. I almost would compare this to almost like Fright Night, but instead of the vampire next door, you got the serial killer next door.
Because the vampire next door totally makes it a horror movie. Because it's a vampire.
Right.
I get what you're saying.
And this one, it's just like, of course, our main character is trying to convince his parents. And of course, and just when they're like, aha, we found this. And then something comes up that goes, oh, actually, no, that's not it. And the movie does a good job of making you think, is this kid just bored? It's the summer, reading into too much shit, and so he's trying, like, this is a summer activity. Like, we're all gonna figure out that my neighbor's a killer. And it's so it almost the other characters treat him like they pick on him about, oh, you're always doing conspiracy shit and stuff like that, and this is just another one of his like, I'm bored, let me figure out if my neighbor is a serial killer.
Yeah.
And so I like that kind of, it throws you off. And I appreciate that.
But what's crazy is I never doubted the kid.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I don't know if it was just because it all right, so it's just shot very well, like, and acted very well, because there are scenes like when I forget the character's self-name, but Harry Crane is the character who ends up being the serial killer. He's a police officer in Cape May, somewhere or other. It's not New Jersey. It's like somewhere else. But Rich Sommer plays him. And the only thing else I know Rich Sommer from was Mad Men.
Mad Men, yeah.
Yeah.
He shows up in a bunch of kind of small roles.
But
like
his acting chops in this was like, I was not expecting that from him.
He was really good.
Especially at the end when he's like in his face, like being crazy as fuck.
There's a couple of different scenes because he plays kind of that dopey neighbor. He's like, oh, geez, like...
I feel like that's a true sociopath. You come across as like that.
But there's a scene, and it's almost not even really that important scene, but he's sitting on his front yard, and he's like, come on, kids, and he has a cooler, and he has all the kids come up.
I was going to bring that up. But
and
then when he looks at the kids after that...
And then you see, and he's like smiling. He's like, there you go, here's a refresher. And as they walk away, his face just
drops,
goes,
dude.
And it goes to this like place of evil.
Yeah.
And this is before the reveal. And you're almost like, wait. Is our main dude right? And this guy is fucked up? Or is it just we're now reading into...
No, dude. Like, the way that Summer dropped his face for that as soon as they all turned around and ran back in the street, it was so fucking evil. God damn, man. That was like... If that didn't give you, like, chills and make you feel slimy, like, oh, it was so good. So that actually... the casting added a lot to it. for who they had, you know.
And just because it's a summer movie, gotta have summer loving.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You forgot. Yeah. There's that girl Nikki. That of course our main dude is all about.
But she's also dealing with her own shit. Yeah, her parents are getting a divorce.
But just like every '80s movie, his house is across this area, and what does he have? The binoculars, checking out a room.
Like George McFly.
Yeah,
except not in a tree.
But then
actually,
I'll almost turn into the Burbs. Then he's like, oh yeah, let me also scope out my neighbor with the binoculars.
Well, hold on. This whole movie screams Disturbia.
Oh, Disturbia, the Burbs,
yeah,
Fright Night. It's one of those
all that.
suburban, like, is my neighbor fucked up? Is the best way.
And I think the one thing that makes it stand apart is that it does scream that, but the one thing it brings in how just because you live in suburbia, which means that generally is an automatic means you're financially okay,
right?
You know. But it shows how everyone's family's fucked up. Like, the big dude's mom's a fucking drunk.
Oh,
like you said, the badass dude's only a badass because, like, he's hiding the fact that he's fucking depressed and his parents are screaming and throwing at each other, you know. Like I said, it sucks you never really figured out what was going on with the nerdy dude, the nerdy one of the bunch.
Yeah.
And really, the main character's family's not fucked up.
No. And that's the thing, though, is because they're not fucked up. They're just trying to figure out what's wrong with him because after a while it becomes almost this obsession. Like, look, he's something's going on with this neighbor, and he keeps trying to prove it to his parents, and they're like, they literally make him go over to his house and apologize.
And then he shows up and say, hey, the neighbor's like, hey, we're cool, right? Like, who goes up to a kid and says, hey, we're cool?
Oh, that was in that scene. What do you say?
The neighbor always throws out these little one-liners. Like, I don't know if you caught it at the end of that scene when he leaves. He's like, hey, see what I can do about getting you out of this house. I'm like, oh, you dirty fucker, man.
There's little fucky moments. But that part when his parents take him over there and then he shows up back at the kid's house, there's definitely, like you were kind of comparing to Disturbia. Like,
yeah.
That kind of element of like, I'm starting to figure out you know more than you're letting on, and I'm now
like you're
now on my radar. You weren't on my radar, but now
you are.
You've brought enough attention, and your dumbass parents, because he's like, there's blood on this. He's like, oh yeah, that. I had my nephew helping out. He cut his hand.
Oh, it was a good cut his hand, nosebleed or something like that. Yeah.
He was like, yeah, that's weird, but yeah, did you break into my my shed
broke
too?
Into my shed too. Okay.
Yeah. And it gets the kid in more trouble. Dude, not that the parents go, that's blood on that rag. You're
true sociopath. Like he legit played off a true sociopath.
But here's the thing: he's also a cop.
Yeah.
So on top of everything else,
he knows the game, right?
He's the goofy neighbor, and he's a cop. So they're like, well, he couldn't be a serial killer. Let's let like they notice that in different counties in the area, kids are missing, but nothing's ever traced back to him. And this movie, fuck, does it hit a stride on the third act? That third act, because up to the point, it's building and it's building and it's building.
He's hiding in his best friend's, like he's hiding in the house in the attic, like because they're like they break into the neighbor's house finally with his. So the main character's dad works for a news network, and so he's the video guy. So he has all this video equipment and camcorders. By the way, they're giant because it's the 80s.
Yeah, it's the 80s. It's one of those huge fucking cameras you can't just sneak around with.
But it's so funny when they try to sneak with it because remember they're running across the street and it's like, there's this giant camera, dude. You're not hiding it. Stop it. So they break in the house for the final break-in scene, because they've done it a couple times, like once before.
Summer Lovin' Nikki pops right up, which is great.
What you guys doing?
Every time she shows up, half the time, or I'd say, almost every other time she shows up, it's her jumping out, scaring the fuck out of our main characters. Like,
hilarious.
Oh, I didn't know it was y'all. Like,
you
clearly,
did. Yeah, it was fucking hilarious. So they break in, they end up going downstairs, going to the room that he knew had a padlock on it, breaking into that room, and then seeing like a bed. It's like this weird childlike.
Well, it was like a dark room too. Like,
it was a dark room, and then there was like all this like childlike like Law and Order SVU shit. Down there. Like it was creepy and just pervy as fuck.
But it's because you see all these weird fucking photos in the dark room, and that's when you turn, and then you see this kid tied up.
Well, remember in that room there was a bed.
Yeah.
There was a dresser. There's all this child shit there too. And then you see the kid tied up was later. They go to the tub.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And they open the tub up, and there's this decomposing body in there.
Yep.
And then when they run from that, a kid grabs their ankle because he was like the next victim, Could you imagine the smell in there, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh,
so they grab that kid, they go upstairs, and this is one of my favorite parts of this movie, and it's just simple. But our main dude, he looks at the wall again, and then he starts to put two and two together after doing some research. All the photos on his wall of, quote, quote, this dude's family, it's all of his victims.
Because every serial killer, trophies.
Yep.
And that was his trophy section.
Yep.
And it was so
right out there in the open.
Sight.
And literally, our main dude sees a photo of him and his parents on this dude's wall.
Next.
And he's like, I'm next. That moment was so fucking cool.
Dude, because they also used the Jaws effect. When it panned out to show the wall and his head stood still. It had that jaw. It used that scene from Jaws.
At the beginning of the movie, you see that he's looking at a few photos. It's not until you get the camera view of behind him and you look, and it's a wall, and there's like 30 plus framed photos on that wall, and they're all of his victims.
And later in the movie, you see the ones that feel like that weren't like on that number for that particular town, because he's using this island, and there's all these bodies, bones. So if you're at the bone level, you've been there a minute.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is he's hitting the counties around there. That's what I'm saying. There's like 30 plus frames on that wall.
Fucking up some shit, dude.
And nobody's like, I guess he doesn't get that many visitors. Be like, wow, you got a huge fucking extended family. You're like,
I get it though, because if I were to have a picture of all my extended family, like in their individual family, it would be pretty big.
Yeah.
So some people have families that big,
and he just leaves it right there. It's his trophy out there in the open to show off. Yeah. You know, so like he can stand back there and appreciate
at the beginning of the movie carrying this thing down to the basement, and I bet every time someone walks by that, he gets like a fucking chubby.
Oh yeah,
just because like no one notices that shit. All the missing kids are up there.
But this is where third act. So our main dude, he was right. This guy is a fucking serial killer. They make it to the police station. They show the footage. They're like, here's everything. Like, and literally, the police captain's kid was the last kid that was kidnapped. Mm-hmm. So he's like, all right, let's go get this fucker. Of course, dude's not there. You almost feel like, okay. And that was pretty exciting. You know, our main kid and his friend are now sleeping over. And you're like, wow, that was, end of the movie. Nope.
No, it just...
And that's where this movie goes a whole other level.
Like, I'm sorry, like, I guess is it just me? But if, like, I knew my son just turned into a serial killer, I'd want them to check my house. Like,
some kind of security?
Every part of my house.
Hey, can we have an officer stay in the front?
No. I want you to walk through my entire house.
Yeah.
Pop in the crawl space. I don't give a fuck. My taxes pay for your salary. Please. If I have to go there, I will. I'll be like, look, dude, crawl through my fucking crawl space. Crazy motherfuckers don't care where they're hiding at.
Yep.
And like, this motherfucker hid in the attic. And I'm like, God damn it.
I know.
God damn it.
And he shows up, and then he grabs both our...
Takes him to where he takes
main kid,
the bodies.
And he takes him to the island.
Ugh.
And now he doesn't have to pretend. Now he is sadistic ass.
It turns into reindeer games in that bitch, man. Like, he's like, here we go. You wanted to play games. Yeah. And he's like...
Mackie. That's his name. I was trying to remember his name, but yeah.
I said...
yeah.
Oh, is it Mackie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but like pretty much that for like he doesn't have to pretend anymore. So he is like, oh, I'm gonna kill you ruined years of all this shit. I'm gonna kill the fuck out of you.
Yeah. He sets them loose and they run through the woods and he
does he stab his foot or what's
he gets up to the main character, stabs his foot. I forget how they got separated, but the big kid ends up going back towards the cop car.
Yeah,
and he gets fucking murdered brutally.
And because
that was a slow.
I was not expecting. Yeah, we see our Mackie. He grabs the big kid, and dude, that kid always just like, and it crushes you because he takes and just slashes his throat. He's like, "You're dead now."
Yeah,
and he leaves. Our main dude, like, it's, what? He's like, this is all your fault.
Well, he leaves him and says,
you killed your friend.
Killing you is too easy. I want you to think about me every second. You've been thinking about me a lot. I want you to think about me every day, just wondering when I'm going to come for you.
Yeah.
Because one day I will come for you, but you will not know when it is. I'm like, oh, that's fucking terrible. That's terrible.
And it shows the effects. I mean, he finally gets rescued, and you see, like, now... he's fucking paranoid as shit, as you should be, since a serial killer who kidnapped you pretty easy after everybody in town was trying to find this person. Takes you to an island, murders your fucking friend, and says, I'll be seeing you.
That's not cool beans, bro. Not cool. And the thing is, like, the way they wrap it up is like he's back on his paper route. You know, he got cut like around the I guess the Achilles or a little bit higher, so he's got like this boot on. But like it shows him go by his friends. So they don't really go into what happened to the friend group after that. It shows the other
probably disband, man. One of them was fucking murdered.
It showed the other two being together though.
Yeah.
The nerdy one and the badass her, you know. But not with him. Now, I don't know if it was because he was on his paper route when he saw him or what. Because if two of them are still hanging out, you would think that, you know what I mean?
They might, in a weird way, they might hold him responsible because,
he's the one that started. I mean, he is the one that started all this shit.
Yeah.
You know, wouldn't let it go.
You know, he involved all of them in it.
And that shows the teenage thinking because what they don't realize is the fact that they all probably would have been dead if he'd have kept being able to kill.
He probably would have killed one of them at least, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's 4 kids in his neighborhood. I mean, like, he probably would have killed them all eventually.
The only exception, though, is that it came across that I don't know if that would have been too close to home. You know, most of the kids he was grabbing,
close to home, yeah.
He was grabbing kids from different counties, but except for the police chief's son. So, but still, you know, it sounds
police chiefs didn't live in his cul-de-sac.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that would be too close to, like, you're going to get suspicious because they're going to have to ask every single person. You see anything? Like, hey, can we just check out your house? Oh, yeah, this basement. And then, bam, you're fucking busted.
What's behind the padlock? I don't know. I'll get a warrant. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. So, I think they were actually safe. And our main dude kind of, you know, highlighted them until he murdered one of them. So
that's kind of what I thought. And then, you know, he passes Nikki because they're moving.
Yeah.
So, like, his whole world kind of got rocked from that. But that's pretty much how it ends. You never really know.
It's not a happy ending.
No.
Like, as upbeat as a good portion of this movie is, that third act is hardcore and a fucking downer.
If I was
and that's
kid,
the thing is that it kind of hits you with smacks you in the face of reality. Because we're like, let's stop the serial killer. It's like a very like upbeat, like, yeah, we can do it. The reality that this dude is actually a serial killer and you have brought attention to yourself happens in the third act where it's like, oh, wait, no, this is a bad thing. Because now, literally, you're a quote hero, but you've also now centered yourself target-wise. The serial killer is coming after you.
And
the rest of your fucking life.
My thing is, like, at that point, if I was him, I'd go, like, full-on, like, Laurie Strode.
Yeah.
And be like, I got you,
if they ever do like a summer of 2005 or 4 or something like that, and it's literally just him and this
trapped house.
Yeah,
because like fuck that. No.
They should do a sequel to this. That would be awesome.
There'd be so many guns in my house. I'd have a hidden compartment in like every room.
Yeah,
minimum. Like so. No, this movie definitely passed the chopping block. It's not rated very high, but I enjoy it. I enjoyed rewatching it. I don't know why it's not rated so high because it's a slow burn suspense horror mystery thriller is kind of where I'd put it at.
I think it's because I mean the way I saw it was on Shudder. It's definitely if you're going into Shudder going all right, let's see some fucked up shit.
This is
not really a fucked up shit kind of movie. It's a thriller. It has a couple kills in it, but it's more about the build up. And I feel like a lot of people going on Shudder want more gore, more kills.
But there's so much of just like a good suspense story.
But if you compare it to
most
of the other stuff on Shudder, I think it's in its own category. And I think that's kind of where people might have been expecting more. You know, honestly, the title says Summer of '84 and it's kind of bloody font and stuff like that. It almost sets you up to think it might be kind of more hardcore than it is. But who are these people that are watching and then going, oh, well, I don't see any awesome kills, so fuck this movie. No, I think
I feel like if people actually watch it, they're not
if there's somebody who's like, God damn fucking no kills, I don't like it. It's gonna be usually us because we're very impatient sometimes.
But this movie, it definitely makes up for lack, quote unquote lack thereof of kills because it's I don't know, man, it's fucking creepy.
Yeah,
this movie what it lacks in fucking kills, it makes up for in creep factor.
Yeah. Like
the suspense in this shit, it will give you a goddamn panic attack.
We do so many movies like that are just like, oh, this kill happened. It's nice every once in a while to just kind of step back, watch a good fucking thriller, nostalgic 80s thriller, have fun with it.
I enjoy the shit out of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy this movie a lot. And And I think this we've talked about this previously on the chopping block. This would be a good intro to horror-esque elements for somebody.
Yeah,
because it's that low key enough where it's more like it's like in the vein of the OG 78 Halloween with a couple less kills, but actually more blood. Because the OG Halloween had like barely any blood, but this has like that one particular scene is a bathtub full of blood and shit and all this nasty stuff. So more blood than the OG Halloween, but less kills. But the suspense level, that level of suspense. So that's really another good intro to horror movie because it gets you used to that anxiety feeling that you get from a solid horror movie. Like even the gory ones we talk about, a lot of those still have anxiety parts. Like I rewatched a couple today, and I was like, "Oh fuck me," So no, solid film. I know it passes for me. I'm assuming Hunter.
It passes for me. Yeah.
Like we both love it. So
I didn't realize till I watched it that second time before this recording just how strong it is because I was a little worried knowing how the ending goes that I would be a little impatient and be like, sometimes you watch it
so good.
The pacing's so good and it's so upbeat to that third part that I love how it's like, hey, we're gonna do it, we're gonna save the town.
It got dark as fuck.
Oh fuck me, and my friend's dead. Okay, so I like that drop down and that just throws you off,
So hey, let us know what you think of this film if you've already watched it or if you watch it because you listened to this episode. Hit us up at lowdownbrown.gui@gmail.com. We love the feedback. We love turning people on to new stuff or having people that are in the same mindset of the film as we are.
Yeah.
We just want to hear the feedback. Lets us know if we're off base or not. If we're thinking about this movie differently.
You guys are fucking wrong. What a bunch of assholes.
Which, I mean.
Fuck you, Hunter.
We've been called. You're used to that. So, and as always, go to GUIPodcast.com. Hit up our link, our Amazon link. Just click on the link and shop through Amazon like normal. We just get a little kickback, help with this podcast shit because it ain't free. And then the link next to that, you click on TeePublic. That's where all our merch is for all the shows under the network. Flagship through all the other shows. There's tons of stuff, tons of designs,
bunch of shit,
bunch of shit to get it on. Tapestries, notebooks, fucking tote bags, shirts,
little
hoodies,
baby onesies,
yeah, tons of shit. And while you're on GeoPodcast.com, check out all the other shows under the network. There is something for everybody. We literally run the gamut, all nerd centric, but everyone is specifically different to just give you that variety. And until we talk to you again, embrace the madness.
At GUIPodcast.com.
Hey guys, Scotty Big Daddy Preston here. That's right, the Geek Father, asking you to join me here every other week with friends and family of the GUI Network as we go through all the trials and tribulations of being a geeky parent. So remember, join us or cry.
In a world ravaged by movie studios that keep rehashing the same things, only one podcaster has the guts to make it even worse. Join Mike the Hobbit as he traverses the internet to bring you some of the best and worst ideas for reboots, remakes, and reimaginings of some of your favorite and least favorite TV and film properties. Ideas like a John Waters He-Man movie, Fantastic Four the musical, and Aliens, done entirely with marionettes. What podcast would bring this evil upon the world? This is Smack My Pitch Up. Available anywhere you get your podcasts.
My name is Amy Bogard.
And I'm Mike the Hobbit.
And we are the hosts of Deeply Upsetting, where we use our expertise to answer your most upsetting hypothetical quandaries, such as, what non-winged animal deserves wings?
And what body part deserves a secret mouth?
Which cryptid is the worst roommate?
These questions and more that plague you will be answered on Deeply Upsetting, available anywhere you get your podcasts and at GUIPodcast.com.